Hey, welcome to Mrs. K's way of getting onto the Go Math Interactive Student Textbook. You want to go to the website my.hrw.com. When you get here, I have my own username and password, but you're going to get a username and password from your math teacher. Now, you might have your own specific one, or your whole class might have the same. My different web pages or my different username and password for my students are located on my web page. So you can go there to try to figure out what your username and password is. Now from the username, I'm going to use the 6th grade one. So S630. And when I must have done it wrong. S6. You don't want to mess up, or else you obviously see that it's going to be a lot of work to be able to get back there. So there we go. So as I'm waiting for the platform, I am going to see right here that I have 4 different choices: My Notebook, Interactive Student Edition, Student Online Edition, and Student Edition Resources. The purple one, My Notebook, you don't need to use. It allows you to take notes, but since this is not going to save for you, don't use this right now. You'll probably have this feature next year. Let's start here with Student Edition and Resources. Well, if you click on this, you're going to get all of the different PDF or picture versions of the textbook. And they're all separated by the different chapters, which they also call units, and all of the different sections, which they call modules. So currently in our Math 6 class, we are doing Module 10. So if I click on this, as I said, I get the picture version of this. Now this is that yellow packet that we printed for you. It has all of those same pages that you saw. So even if we go down to, let's say, page 268, you've seen that you have done this for homework for one day. It gives you all the different standards. I can highlight it, but I can't copy or paste it anywhere because it's just a picture. I can save this on my desktop. I can also print it. So if you lose your packet, you can click here and print your own packet for at home. So that's really helpful. Also, in my Student Edition, which every time I click something, it opens a new tab. I can also go all the way to the bottom, and I see 2 other things. There's the Spanish resources, which I can get this Student Edition and the Interactive Student Edition, both things I'm about to show you, in Espanol. So if you know somebody who is a Spanish-speaking student, or if you want to just be able to see how this would be in Spanish, you can click on this. There's also some videos, and I'll show you where else you can access these videos in the website. So let's go back to the platform. So we just clicked on this first one. Now, this was great to be able to see the online edition, but it wasn't really nice to be able to go from one page to the other since you had to scroll. This is different. This is a way I can see the textbook, but I don't only have the option of scrolling up and down. So as this is opening, hopefully it goes a little quicker. Let me try to click on it again. There we go. I see I have the whole entire Student Edition where I can scroll from page to page, but if I want to go to a specific page, let's say my teacher put that I need to go to page 287 on my learning log. Or actually, let's go to 284 since that's actually where our homework is. If I go to page 284 or 283, I can go directly there by clicking on that button. I can also search keywords by clicking on the search button, the little magnifying glass, and I can put it in there and it will tell me what pages. I can also bookmark this page, so if I come back later, I know exactly where it is. So even if I go to another page, let's say like 290, I can go to my bookmark section over here and go back to that page 283 if I click on it, and I can go back to it. Pretty nifty. Now, I also see that every time I go over something that's green, my cursor changes from an arrow to a hand. That's because this is a clickable link. If I click on it, I go to something called the Math Trainer. This is awesome because it provides me with 10 different practice questions that I can be able to practice at home. Now, these are not exactly your homework questions, but they're like them. So let's say I didn't know how to do a question like this on my homework. If I click the Math Trainer, it'll give me another problem. It'll also tell me I can view an example or do it step by step. If I click step by step, the Math Trainer is going to tell me each of the different questions along the way. I can try to put in an answer. Let's say, I don't know, I'm just going to do a random answer. I know it's wrong, but when I press check, it says try again. It can show me more details of what I need to do, where it will tell me, oh, I need to evaluate each expression for y equals 5. Great. Well, if I do that, then I can go back and I can do, let's say, 44. Uh-oh, I did it wrong again. What about 54? There we go. Now I got it correct. It let me check my answer and I got it correct, so it went to the next step. Now I could keep going step to step even if I'm stuck, and I can go each step until I see the answer. It even gives me an explanation of why the answer is the one it is. But if I just want to know without doing step by step, I can also click on View Example, and it gives me all of the different solutions right away without having to click. Now let's say, oh, now I get it. I want to try to do another problem, but this one's already done. Go to the bottom and you can see it says try another. You can try another of that same type of problem and you can start it from the beginning. It still gives you the option, but the more you see View Example, even though you're getting the answers, you're not really learning it yourself. Step by step allows you to know if you're thinking correctly along the way. You can go to each of the different questions. You can skip some, but you're also going to notice that sometimes a question has different options as well, such as Video Tutor and Animated Math. If you see this, click on it. No harm will be done. This is a video of how to be able to solve problems like this. You're being taught by somebody named Professor Berger. He's really nice and he has some good math concept. He might be a little cheesy, but at least he can help you with the math. Animated Math also gives you different explanations on how to do these problems. You can also print this out if you wanted to. Now, as you go along the way, you can check your answers. But if you wanted to be able to take it without checking your answers and you wanted to see if you got them all right, you can press the Submit button. If you press Submit, it will just be able to give you all those answers. If you haven't finished all the questions, that's okay too. But I can go and see, oh, did I get any right? Well, I hadn't done any of them, so it didn't tell me anything because I didn't do any of them. But that's okay. So if I close that, I get back to here. So I could be able to go do my homework in my packet. I also have some resources over here on the left side that can give me different types of things, such as bar models, fraction bars, a calculator. Those are all available for you to use as well. Now, that's great, but let's say I missed some class and I don't know what to do. And if we look at the beginning of each chapter, we usually have, all the way at the top, we usually have some exploration activities, like lesson 10.3. Look, it says Explore Activity 1. Well, if I go back to my dashboard and I click on the third tab, Interactive Student Edition, when I click on this, I get to all my options of all my different modules. Since we're talking about expressions and I'm in module 10, I can click on 10.3. This brings an interactive talking lesson to me.
How do you identify and write equivalent expressions?
Yeah, that sounds like me, but it's not, Mrs. K. This is from the website itself. It gives me different options of 5 different things I can do. I can engage, I can explore, I can explain, and I can be able to evaluate. So these are different things I can do. I'll show you how it talks to you if I go to the next one.
One way to test whether 2 expressions might be equivalent is to evaluate them for the same value of the variable.
Now here, I can actually pause it and I can look to see what's happening. If I don't want to hear the voice, I can mute it, but I can also add the closed captions. This is great because it allows me to be able to see what it's saying without necessarily listening to it. But as you see, as it plays, the person is talking and it will even give me expressions that I can do. I actually get to, every time I see the green, it actually tells me to be able to type in the different values. If I check it, I can see what I did right and maybe what I haven't done already. And then it will help me try to do it again. I can even skip this step if I don't want to keep doing it, but it will give me the same example again and will tell me to try again. This is exactly the same Explore activity as you see in your packet or in the textbook. So even if you miss class, you can still do it with a partner, the computer. As I keep going, I can also get the Explain, which can give me another explanation for what I am doing in this chapter, and it will even give me lessons on how to evaluate expressions. Then if I go to the orange for the Elaborate, this is the personal math trainer, which is just like the one I just showed you, but it gives me smaller amount of questions. It only gives me 2, and that's just to know if I need to go back and rewatch the lesson or if I'm ready to move on to some practice problems. Again, it gives you the Explain and the step-by-step. If I go one more, it gets us to the exact same math trainer as we saw before, where I can do all those 10 different practice problems on my own. Now there's 2 other little buttons I want to show you. This right here is the Tool button, and you can click on it anytime, and it gives you the options of graph paper, positive and negative tiles, strip diagram, fraction bars, algebra tiles, and even a calculator. Also, I can click on the glossary. This allows me to be able to get to any vocabulary I might not understand. Like I knew she said the word evaluate a lot. So if I type in evaluate, I can see it here. Not only can it say it to me in English,
Evaluate.
but it also can tell me in Spanish.
Evaluar.
If I don't speak those 2 languages, but maybe I want to see what it is in another one, I can also pick Chinese, but the problem is it won't tell me anything about how it's spoken. But I can still read it if I understand that language. When I'm done here, I can just click out of the tab and I can go back to my dashboard. If you're, let's say, a 7th grade student or you have more than one of the different grades, you can be able to access the different grade levels here. But since we're only in the 6th grade one, I only have 1. Last thing you need to do is when you're leaving, you want to make sure you sign out. Well, guys, that's all I got here for today. If you have any questions, ask your math teacher.